But yeah, so like I was saying, Kain, one of his big motivations is to avoid the sacrifice. And in fact, when you go to this game's main menu, you actually hear Ariel say that Kain refused the sacrifice, which is entirely true. He did refuse to sacrifice himself for the good of Nosgoth, partly because if he had done so, this would have also, at the time, completely destroyed the vampire race. So Kain is that's actually why if you actually think about this series, I think I mentioned this early on in the Soul Reaver 1 part, that honestly, the Legacy of Kain series does not have a true protagonist. Kain eventually becomes more heroic, but at the same time, he's still a selfish bag of dicks. You know what? You're gonna go ahead and get in my stomach. Although, to be fair, Raziel doesn't really have a stomach. There we go. Also, because of the fact that I'm not using a controller for this, having to do this with mouse and keyboard is kind of annoying. Alright, let's head over here, because I've been messing around. What I actually need to do is open this gate. Now, you can't phase through it in the Spectral Realm. What I can do instead is just walk
neared the stronghold's inner sanctum,
and push it open.
A strange sensation crept over me. An indescribable feeling of displacement, a sense of vertigo.
This is important.
As reality itself appeared to warp and bend around me. The disturbance seemed to emanate from the sanctuary's furthest chapel. As I cautiously approached, the sense of dislocation intensified with each step. So this was the tomb of the beloved King William the Just, beatified here as the martyr and catalyst of Mobius's crusade. I was reminded of Kain's journey as a fledgling vampire, how Mobius coerced him to travel back in history and assassinate William, thus igniting a genocidal hatred of vampires among the citizens of Nosgoth. And here I discovered the source of the displacement. The Soul Reaver itself, laid out like a holy relic, and broken, apparently in the battle between William and Kain. I had not thought such a thing was possible, until, of course, Kain shattered the blade against me when he tried to strike me down. Thus, the captive spirit inhabiting the Reaver was released, and binding itself to me, became my symbiotic weapon. And so the Reaver met its former self, still imprisoned in this corporeal shell. I watched, mesmerized, as the Wraith blade uncoiled itself and snaked down the length of the physical blade. Embracing its twin, its mirror self, the Reaver's long dormant spirit was now fully aroused. And for the first time, I felt the true presence of this other entity, willful, ravenous, and deranged from thousands of years of imprisonment. The Reaver was now in command, and I, now merely its helpless host, felt my soul being leached to restore the blade. But the Reaver knew better than to destroy its host, and just as I neared the brink of oblivion, the blade released its hold on me. As I recovered, I realized we were now bound together in a fragile alliance. The Reaver no longer merely my symbiotic weapon, but a sentient parasite competing for control.
What have you done to me, Mobius? Is this your trap? How mine? Don't forget it was Kain who led you here, not I. While you curse me,
The only soul in Nosgoth ready to guide and assist you, Kain laughs at our folly and revels in your dismay.
These blades, now coiled in sinister embrace, have inspired terror in the hearts of creatures far more durable than you, old man. Bound together as they are, I can only imagine what they could do to your soul's fragile shell.
Raziel, I beg you to stay your hand. This was none of my doing. I have sought only to aid you in your righteous quest.
Why, you're trembling, Mobius. Has your confidence abandoned you? You seem to have made a fatal error by leaving your precious staff behind. Is that where all your courage comes from?
Listen to me, Raziel. You don't know what you're doing. I have taken an enormous risk by appearing here before you, so defenseless, yet eager to prove my good intentions. If there's anything left of the Seraphim in you, you won't do this. While you threaten me, your true enemy eludes you.
Don't concern yourself with Kain. He'll join you in hell soon enough. As you said, death comes for us all.
Yes, the wheel of fate demands it.
What did you say?
The wheel of fate. The inexorable cycle of death and rebirth to which all men are compelled. We serve the same God, Raziel. To strike me down would be striking God's own attendant. And I don't believe even you would take that risk.
Put your tongue back in your head.
Tired of your games, Mobius. Now that I know you fear me, I needn't concern myself with you. Kain is waiting for me.
Go then, Raziel. Seek Kain out and destroy him in the name of the one God we both serve. You, who were once a Seraphim priest, murdered, profaned, destroyed, and reborn again from his mercy. You are now most powerfully equipped to be his agent, his instrument of restoration and retribution.
My own vengeance is motivation enough.
By my soul, you almost had me, my little blue assassin. But that'll be the one and only chance you get. I assure you of that.
I could now summon the blade at will, regardless of my strength. But once summoned, the blade's ravenous appetite could not be contained. It devoured the souls of its victims, and if I allowed it to become over-aroused, the Reaver would now turn its hunger on me.
That's the new danger. It also means I'm much weaker than I was. But yeah, if you want to know what that was, one of the key things in this game, or in this entire
This was the legendary Janos Ordrin, reputed to have been the most ancient and diabolical vampire to have ever existed. According to folklore, he lived high in the cliffs of Nosgoth's northern mountains and preyed mercilessly on the defenseless villagers below. His reign of terror ended when the Seraphim finally hunted him down and tore his throbbing heart from his still-living body. This relic came to be known as the Heart of Darkness, and was supposedly imbued with the power to restore vampiric unlife. The Seraphim therefore guarded it carefully, lest the heart fall into the hands of their enemies. But I wondered, could Janos Ordrin truly have been as monstrous as depicted here? Or was this merely artistic license by the Seraphim, who sought to lionize themselves by demonizing their darkest enemy?
That's a bit of a question. That's the question, isn't it? But yes, Janos Aldrin. If you're wondering why he has wings, like Raziel does, well, for one thing, Janos is the last of the Ancients, the original race that became the vampires. He did have the Heart of Darkness within him, and the Seraphim did indeed rip it out of him. And we actually get to meet him, because, I mean, we're traveling through time. But, as I was saying, one of the big things about this series that you saw with the whole Soul Reaver blade meeting the Soul Reaver sword, I'm going to make a distinction there, is that one of the key taglines of the series is "History abhors a paradox." That's what we were seeing when the world was kind of falling apart on us, because the spirit in the blade is the exact same as the spirit. But yeah, if you look above my health, that green bar that you see, that is the Reaver's. That's how strong the Reaver is getting. If the Reaver is allowed to grow all the way, I think it just outright kills you. Which, not a great thing, considering I'm low on health already. I need a weapon. And there's one on the wall, conveniently. But basically, because two... Oop. Hold that thought.
Strange how my history came full circle.
Yep.
This chapel, I realized, was a memorial to my former Sarafan brethren.
Micaiah, Rahab, Zephon.
All of us martyred here. And then so cruelly profaned by Kain when he imposed his gift
Terrell.
on noble corpses. For the first time, I beheld the image of my Sarafan self, memorialized here among my fallen comrades. It tortured me to see how noble and pure I had been, and what a vile phantasm I had become, and a profound sense of injury, of loss and betrayal welled up in me, so overwhelming I could barely contain it. All I wanted at this moment was to find Kain and destroy him.
Where did y'all come from? I'll talk about the memorial paintings in just a moment, once I've dealt with these. But yeah, this is all that conversation with Mobius where we find out he serves the Elder God as well. That was important, because again, it tells us something about Mobius's motivations. But if you'll notice, this is Rahab, from whom we got our swimming ability. Notice that he's got seahorses. If you actually look at these paintings, each one of them kind of hints at the ability of the Sarafan when they become a vampire. So Rahab has seahorses and a trident. He becomes immune to water. Micaiah here, nothing really special, but very humble, very low. We eventually gain his ability to phase, although he kind of falls apart. Duma, who, as I said, is probably the strongest of the Sarafan vampires, has the demon behind him, and he's just kind of ignoring it, powerful enough to fight it. Over here we have Zephon, the climber. Not really much in the way of fit, but he is probably the slimmest of all the Sarafan you see in here. Over here is one we haven't seen before. This is Terrell. We will fight Terrell in this, and he's changed considerably from this. And then of course there's Raziel over here. The only one of them who got a bloody statue. If you look at his pauldrons, his shoulder pads, and his helmet, they have kind of a wing motif, which, I mean, I have wings. Or had. Is this the way I was supposed to go, or is that the way I came in? It's hard to tell. No, I came in through a door, so I don't want to go out through a door. I want to climb, which means I need a climbing surface. Is there actually a climbable surface anywhere near here? It's been so long since I actually played this game. Ah, that's what I needed. There's a climbable surface in this case. It's called stairs. I do wish I could play this with a controller, because that makes the game so much easier. Alright, let's just keep going. Actually, first off,